So first, why I chose independent reading. So I went to a conference over the summer, and one of the presentations that I went to was all about giving kids the opportunity to read in class, because we expect them to read, but a lot of them don't have the materials at home to read. And so if we're not giving them the time here in class, then it's most likely not getting done. And then also, like, one of my big things as a reading teacher is I hate when kids tell me they hate reading. And I'm like, well, it's just because you haven't found something that you like yet. You haven't found that book that you like. And so I've really been trying to push that this year. However, a lot of the times in my room, that's the time that I take away because, like, who has time to independently read? No one. So that's the time that I take away to do other instructional things. So my questions for my research project were, number one, does independent reading and conferencing with students directly affect students' growth on reading assessments? And how are students' perceptions of ELA affected by independently reading a book of their choice daily? So what does the literature say? In front, I have a couple articles that I found. So students began to move their attention to video games and TV around the age of 8, and that came from the Cindy Long article. And I found it interesting too that it said a lot of times that's the age that parents stop reading to their kids. Because they assume that their child can read it themselves, or they are too busy, they have sports and activities, so that's a lot of the times that, like, parents aren't reading to their children anymore. So there are 3 things that teachers can do to give more opportunities for independent reading. Number 1 says build in at least 20 minutes a day, which, like, thinking about it is like 20 minutes, but really it's not that much the whole day. 2 is to make libraries a vital part of our curriculum, and I can say that Mr. Allen and Ms. Gilbert have done everything for me that I've ever needed. Anytime I need a book, I mean, I can email them at 10 o'clock at night and the book is on my desk the next morning if I need a book from them. So they are amazing resources. And then 3 would be making reading easy to do. Make it, like, let them choose anything they want to read. It shouldn't be difficult for them to find a book. It shouldn't be difficult to find time. It should just be easy and relaxing. Another study done found that only a small percentage of even primary students, and I believe this was a preschool, chose independent reading during their free time. So they chose to do like the art centers or the play centers other than the independent reading. And then the International Literacy Association explained that a lot of times we do take out that independent reading because we need more time for like the Common Core standards. But really the Common Core is trying to get kids to read independently. Like, that's the whole point of the Common Core reading, is so that they can comprehend their text independently. So by not giving them the chance to do that, like, we're really not helping them. So independent reading requires 4 things. 1 is full participation from the teacher. I will say, which I'll get kind of into on my next when I talk about how I set up my research. Like, I had to be fully invested in, like, I'm going to give you this time to read. Number 2 is the investment of time. Number 3 is a broad range of level text. The thing about independent reading is everybody reads differently, so you have to have the option for lots of different books, different kinds of books, and different levels of books. And then differentiated instruction, because everyone does read differently. Okay. Oops, sorry, I'm hitting my button. Not sure why that's not there, but that's okay. But I'll go ahead. So before starting my project, I did a little bit of research to get started. Number 1 was I had to model for my kids how to independently read. Like, that sounds silly, but they don't know how to sit and read a book without something out the window distracting them, or without my friend distracting them. So the first few days of us independently reading, I just read with them. Like, I brought my book from home and I sat and I read with them. And if somebody came up to me, I said, like, excuse me, but, like, I'm really into my book. Like, this is a really great part and you just interrupted me reading. So just kind of show them that, like, you need to be invested in your book. I also did a reading interest survey where I asked my kids just questions about themselves as a reader. So how do you feel about yourself as a reader? When you come to a word that you don't know, like, how often are you able to figure out that word? And it was just a quick, like, I did it on Google Forms, so just a quick, like, little survey about how they feel about reading. I also gave them a reading log, which I have examples, because although we would like to think that when we let kids independently read that they're actually reading, you have to hold them accountable. So I do have some examples of just the read logs. Anytime that we read in class, or I told them if they ever read at home that they could jot it down. But it was mostly just in class to monitor our time and what like the pages that they were reading. So during our research, I let kids read every day for 20 minutes. It's usually how we started class. We would do a read aloud of our book for like 10 minutes, and then I would let them go do 20 minutes of independent reading. While they were reading, I have just a little 3-subject notebook. It worked out nice because I've one subject for each class. And I just took notes. I talked to the kids about their book. I had them read me a page of their book, so that was a good way to check for fluency. And I just took notes. So for example, this child was reading I Survived Hurricane Katrina. And so first I asked her, like, explain your book to me. So she said, a boy is swimming in a pool and he sees a helicopter and he tries to get it to come save him. The boy saves the dog and the helicopter saves him. So I said, well, would you swim in a hurricane, like during a storm? Because one of my standards is seeing how characters' actions like affect other actions, and then comparing like your perspective to theirs. So I asked her, like, what would you do? It was just a really quick way. It spent like 3 minutes with a kid. It was a really quick way. You usually got to about 4 or 5 kids a day, but you always have those kids that like want to talk to you for 20 minutes about their book, and that's fine. Like I let them talk if they're enjoying their book. Afterwards, we did this, so I added the same survey that I had them do at the beginning. We did it again. I just added a few questions at the end, like how did you change as a reader? What did you really enjoy about our independent reading? What would you have changed about our independent reading? So you'll get to kind of see some of those things here. So this was the before. So the first question says I am, and then the options were a poor reader, a good reader, an okay reader, or a very good reader. So you'll see that I had a little chunk of my percentage say that they were a poor reader. I had about 19% say that they were an okay reader, 31% at a good reader, and then 48% at a very good reader. And you can see over here, which this was only about a 3-week time span that I did this research, but over here, the great thing for me is I have nobody say they're a poor reader, which is a plus for me. Like I feel like everybody, at least their perception of themselves, they grew as a reader. Reading is something that I like to do. So over here, this is my before. You'll see that, just looking at the colors, my blue over here has gone up. So the blue is often, so a lot of people said they often like to read. I did have someone change. I never went up a little bit. That's okay. It goes both ways. I like to read out loud. So this one I thought was interesting because we didn't read out loud during our independent reading time. But we've actually gone up, and I now have more people that say they like to read out loud just by being able to read independently to themselves. One of the questions that I asked on both was, what do students enjoy reading? Because I wanted to see what my kids are mostly reading. How can I help get books that they really enjoy? Some of them, so the red are things that like their percentages went down the second time, and the green ones are what went up. One that really struck me as interesting is poems. My poem actually went from 43% to 48%. So they're saying that they enjoy reading poems, which I never told them they had to read poems. Like that was just kind of what they chose to read from my library. So I thought that was kind of interesting. How have I changed as a reader? So these are just some quotes from the page, but the most thing that I will say that I saw as how they have changed is they said, number one, they enjoy reading more, which is great. It's kind of what I was going for. They enjoy the reading. Number two, said like I can read bigger words. Like I can, when I come to a word I don't know, like I can use the context clues and I can figure out what the word means. What is your favorite part about daily independent reading? This I thought was kind of funny because the number one thing that people said was, it's most of the time quiet. I was like, that is amazing because it's not very quiet and I really want And they also said that they really enjoyed just the time to read. And when I don't give kids, the time to read, like they're asking me, we didn't get our independent reading time today. Like, when are we going to be able to read? Last is that what would you change about our independent reading? So of course there were those lovely students that said, nothing, it was perfect, it was amazing. Then of course I had the ones that were like, I don't want it anymore. But overall, a lot of the kids said they wanted more time to read, and they would like it to be even more quiet and not have their friends talking, which was good because it led to like other discussions of like, well, if you're the one that's doing the talking, then your friends are going to talk too. But overall, I was really excited about the results of how they felt about the independent reading. So I have a few things that I brought to show. So like obviously I only got to do this project for like 3 weeks, the research for about 3 weeks. So looking forward, I would like to keep doing the research. I want to keep giving my kids the opportunity to read independently. I also started something new in my class with their homework. So this is my kids' homework from now on. It's a little reading challenge. And so right now there are 14 raindrops, and they keep this the whole month of May, and their challenge is to fill in all 14 raindrops. So this is like April themed, so like reading a book wearing a raincoat, reading a book wearing rain boots, reading a book about weather. And every time they do one, they color it in. Then on the back page, they write the names and authors of some of their favorite books that they read over the month on the raindrops. They can color it and cut it out. And then I'm going to post it on my bulletin board and give them the opportunity to kind of share their books to the class. As a little incentive, because of course as soon as I pass this out, you have kids like, do I have to do all of those or have to do the challenge? So at the end of the month, I'm doing a book raffle. So I went to Half Price Books and I got books based on what my kids said they like to read. And there's like 5 books that I'm going to raffle off. And so for every challenge that you do, you get a raffle ticket. So if I do one challenge, I only get 1 raffle ticket. If I do all 14, I get 14 raffle tickets. And then you get to decide where you want to put your raffle tickets. So if you really want one book, then you can put all 14 of your tickets in that one book's basket. If you're like, they're all okay, you can spread your tickets out around the books. And then I'll draw a ticket out, and then the person gets to take that book home. It's been really nice. I brought the books in yesterday and showed them to the class, like the ones that I'll be raffling off, and they were already so excited. Like you would not imagine the kids that have come back, like, look at all the challenges that I did today because I really want the dinosaur book. So I think it's been really good. I also would like to encourage other teachers and other people to involve independent reading, especially at a younger age and an older age, because I hate like age 8. I get kids with their age 8 and they already don't like to read. So that's just something that I'm trying to get better in my classroom. Are there any questions?
No, I love the idea. I mean, it's just like reading in the wild and, all those things that they tell us about, and, which is fantastic. And I really like, because we've been doing those for our, like something similar, for our break challenges, and the kids love them. So having that as your homework is a fantastic idea, and I love the raffles too. Like, I think you could raffle off like toilet paper, and they would just get so excited about that competition. But to actually put that passion then back to books is an amazing idea, like amazing. Like I would love to do that in my room. Like it's just a great idea. All of it is awesome.
I'm really excited to see this. This is the first like challenge that I've done, and then like next year I plan on this will be my homework throughout the whole year.
I think it's a great idea.
And I I told and a lot of them want to think of this as homework, and I told them, I said, don't think of it like that. Like all I want you to do is just enjoy reading a book. Like don't think like, oh, I've got to go read now. Like I just want you to, whenever you have time, find a book and enjoy reading it. Like that's awesome.
Well, I know as a parent too, my kid would be like, Mom, gotta go buy me a raincoat. Cause look, you know what I mean? Like she would like manipulate and take all she could with it. So she would have a really good time.
We have had that talk too though. A lot of kids are like, I don't have rain boots. And I said, well, wear boots.
Yeah.
And if they say, well, I don't have boots, I'm like, well, wear tennis shoes. Like, I don't care what, like, wear shoes. It's not about like doing this actual thing. Like, this is just to have fun.
Right. Wear Mom's rain boots.
Right, like anything that you can do. Wear a jacket, wear a coat, like anything that you can do.
That's a great idea. I love the whole thing. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
No? Very good.
Well done.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
not that this has to be recorded, but I also